Live show. My name is Andrew Valentin, and I hope you all are having a fantastic Saturday. I know I am. The sun is out and shining. I hope you all are having the moment to be able to get outside, but not right now because you're watching my show. And yes, unfortunately, it is my show because as you guys can see, one is truly the loneliest number, but guess what? That does not mean we stop. We continue to keep going no matter what, ladies and gentlemen. But I am here not alone, though, because with me is one of the best in the game, ladies and gentlemen. He's one of the most fantastic people I could ever ask to help me in this. He is the man himself, the legend, Mr. Eric Willowhite. Eric Willowhite, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing fine, Andrew. Please hold your applause at home until the show has finished.
Absolutely. Eric Willowhite will be helping me. Great producer, guys, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're looking for anybody who is extremely talented in doing his thing on sports, make sure to hit that man up, Eric Willowhite, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again, Eric, for helping me with this. This is great. I'm glad to have you on the show finally, too, man. It's been a little bit of a while, but I'm glad to have you here, man.
Yeah, maybe one of these days I'll actually be on camera, too. You never know.
We will work on that. We will gradually get you up here, I promise.
No problem.
It'll eventually happen, man.
You know, if you keep having these deadbeat co-hosts, you're going to have me on one of these times.
Oh, man, that's a challenge to all you guys out there. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a fun one for you guys today. We're talking some NBA. We're talking more NBA, and then we're going to be hitting it with even more basketball. Today is a very basketball-heavy day today, ladies and gentlemen. But I hope you're all ready to get into this one because we're about to get it started. Let's kick this one off with the NBA Finals. Game 1 is officially already in the books, and ladies and gentlemen, it was a show. I can't believe what I was able to witness. I mean, this was one of those games that everybody was anticipating, right? Toronto Raptors, Golden State Warriors. It's the dynasty versus the first-year wonders, right? Raptors' first year in the NBA, and they're here. They've made it. It's time. Let's go. Golden State, and we're trying to make it happen. It's 4 and 5 years, 3 in a row. And it was a sight to see. Game was very exciting, although the Raptors were able to pull it out. 118-109 was Game 1 to the Raptors. I mean, it was a heck of a show. Pascal Siakam was the best player on the team by far and best player in the game by far. He came up with 32 points, got himself 8 rebounds, came up with, I believe it was 4 assists or so, and also managed to get a couple blocks in the game. I mean, he was outstanding. I mean, for a team that really, I mean, for the most part, the Raptors looked like they were on their game, but he was the best part of it. Yeah, 32 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. I mean, he was everywhere in that game. 14 for 17 from the field, 2 for 3 from three-point range. He's a special guy. I truly believed he was going to be the X factor in this. But, of course, Kawhi, he put up his numbers. He only had 23. You know, he didn't do too well from the field, but he was 3 for 6 from three-point range, 50%, still strong. I mean, look, the Raptors played a really good game. They played a really good game. They were extremely together on every bookend of this game. I mean, Golden State certainly gets a lot of credit for their chemistry, right? They get a lot of credit for that chemistry they've been able to build up over years. But for the Raptors to be able to take a guy like Kawhi, trade for him before the season starts, and have this type of show in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, I thought it was fantastic, right? Kawhi is doing his thing. You've got Marc Gasol, who has his best game as a Raptor in the NBA Finals in Game 1. Spectacular. Siakam comes up big, right? Fred VanVleet, he threw everything up there, and it just landed in the bucket. Came up with 15 off the bench. Everybody was on their game that day. Everybody was playing great defensively. Everybody was showing the Warriors, hey, Raptors aren't going to back down. We're not going to stop. The Raptors, they found a way to shut down Golden State. Now, granted, Golden State, you know, they have their own things going on, right? They had a couple days off. They looked like they were a little rusty. And, you know what? That'll happen. That'll happen. It'll happen all the time. You'll always have these teams that'll eventually come on at some point in time, and they're going to look a little rusty, especially after taking, I think it was 9-10 days off or something like that. It was insane. And you know what? They're going to shake it off, and I think they're going to come back stronger in Game 2. But guess what? Toronto found a way to show us that, hey, you can beat these guys, right? I mean, certainly some teams have already shown us you can beat these guys. But everybody thinks by the time the finals come around, oh, it's got to be Golden State. They got to win it, right? They're the champs. They're the kings. They're the dynasty. Look at that team. It's full of all-stars. How can you compare? How can you beat them? Well, Toronto showed us you can beat them, right? Toronto's got a lot of advantages. One of the big things is that they're a long team, right? They're a long team. That's what I hear from everybody. They're very long. And when you look at them, yeah, right? Siakam's 6'9", Leonard's 6'7", Danny Green's like 6'6", 6'7", right? They've got, the smallest guy on their team is, I think, Fred VanVleet, and he's 6 feet tall. Everybody else is like 6'3" and taller. They got long arms. They got tall bodies, right? They're able to disrupt the shots of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, right? So Toronto's got an advantage there. But obviously, too, Golden State was without their star player, right? You don't have Kevin Durant in the lineup. That's a big thing. That was the big X factor. Is Kevin Durant going to be a part of this team, right? We've seen this team win without Kevin Durant, but we've seen them win with him. And it goes to show that, hey, we're successful with both, with or without him. But it's kind of clear to me that I think the finals against the Toronto Raptors, a team that's tall, got long arms, defends really well, you kind of need one of the guys who's considered as, I would have to say, one of the top 5, maybe top 3 players in NBA history that is almost unguardable, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy who's 6'9", 240 pounds, plays with force, has a 3-point shot, rebounds, blocks shots. I mean, he does everything. And now he's not projected to be back till game 4. And that's kind of a big deal. Because that's a big weapon. That's one of your big targets. That's a guy that's supposed to be able to land shots left and right. That's a guy that's supposed to be able to lead this team, right? No, but it's Steph's team. Yeah, but who's been the finals MVP the last couple times? Kevin Durant. Toronto's new to this. Golden State, they've been here before without Durant. But it seems like they've relied a lot more on him now than ever. Toronto's got a good team, yeah, but Golden State should be able to win this flat out, right? I don't know. Kawhi Leonard's playing at an all-new level. We talked about this on Wednesday. That guy is taking it to all new heights. That guy is playing at superstar level. I mean, it's hard to defend against him because he's so shifty, and his game plays a little bit differently than everybody else's, right? He's not all about let's try and take a 3. He's a lot of let's drive to the basket, let's pull up and take a mid-range jumper, right? It's a different type of way. And even when you shut him down, look at what happens. Pascal Siakam comes up big, gives you 32, right? You concentrate all your efforts on one guy, you leave other guys open, right? Marc Gasol, 20 points. Fred VanVleet, 15 points coming off the bench. There's a lot here that works well for Toronto, and there's a lot that the Warriors need to really focus in on. I thought, for me, I look at what can the Warriors do, though, to even this series, right? You think about that. What can they do? Honestly, the best thing for them is to try and see if they can get Kevin Durant back a lot sooner. Because guess what? If they can get Kevin Durant back a lot sooner, it's going to help out the team profusely. He is a big shot that you can't miss. And obviously, I think a lot of people understand that. But here's the other thing, too. DeMarcus Cousins has already been starting to prove, hey, does your game really fit with the way the Warriors play? I mean, it was a nice addition, right? It's a nice addition to have DeMarcus Cousins. You can't go wrong with a guy like that, right? You're talking about a guy that's averaging like 15 to 20 points on a good night, somewhere around like 10 to 12 rebounds. You could always use that on this team. But he doesn't really take a lot of three-pointers. He's not a moving guy. He's very much more of a stand still next to the basket, play with your back to it, and play the post game, right? That's more of his game. And then you've got also Andre Iguodala, one of your biggest sparks coming off the bench. And you kind of have to wonder, well, he's dealing with injury. Is he going to be there? Right? This is one of your first ever finals MVP when you won your first championship Iguodala was the man. Well, now his age is catching up with him, right? He's still a good player, but it's clear that he's not the same guy. The Warriors are a good team, and I still think they have the best shot to win the series, no doubt. But I'm still rolling with the Raptors in Game 7. There's something I see with Toronto that just says success is there. They can get it, right? They can win this. They can come out ahead. They seem like they have good veteran leadership, right? They got a superstar that they can basically put their hat on and say, hey, lead us. And then on top of that, they've got guys like Siakam and Gasol and Van Vliet who can come up big when it seems like Kawhi is maybe not on his best game. Right? We talked about this on Wednesday too. There's a possibility of an upset. There's a possibility we look at an upset. We talked on Wednesday about what would happen in 2011. What happened in 2011 with the Dallas Mavericks and Miami Heat? What happened then? Miami Heat had all these all-stars, right? Dallas had one star and a pretty good group of veteran talent. And Dallas was able to come out victorious. They won their first ever NBA championship with Dirk Nowitzki leading the way. Now, granted, this Golden State team's a lot different from that Miami team. Why? Because that Miami team was a collection of free agents. Guys who were friends, who kind of knew each other, but the chemistry is not really there to play with each other. You're not really used to each other's playing style. Golden State, they've been doing this so long, they could do it with their eyes closed. So, is there a precedence for upset? Yes. Is it harder to say that? Absolutely. But I give Toronto a lot of credit for what they've done thus far, and I give them a possibility to maybe pull out another win because you're still without, again, if Kevin Durant is not coming back till Game 4, this could change a lot of things. This could really shift the momentum towards Toronto because that's one less guy, and it's, by the way, the biggest guy you don't have to worry about. Now, really quickly before we get out of this, I really want to touch on what the series could mean for Durant and Leonard, right? Because Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, they're both suspected to be free agents. What potentially could change for these guys, that's a big thing that people are kind of mentioning, right? Because what happens if Toronto wins? What happens if Golden State wins? Do they stay with their teams, right? I will say this. I think Durant, because he's obviously the number one free agent everybody's looking at, right? Restricted free agent, but still. I think Kevin Durant, win or lose, is going to probably look to leave Golden State. It's not the smartest decision. I would not make it myself. But then again, I'm not Kevin Durant, right? I'm just me. I'm a guy who sits up here on a mic, talks to you guys. I'm not looking to win championships. I'm not getting multi-million-dollar contracts. If Kevin Durant leaves Golden State, I do think there's a great possibility he does go to the Knicks. Because not only does he want to prove to everybody, hey, I can lead a team to a championship, right? Because he didn't do it with Oklahoma City. They lost. And then all the stuff with him and Russell Westbrook came up, and then he left and went to Golden State. And now with Golden State, it's not his team, it's Steph's team. So you do kind of have to wonder, is he really going to stay? I would hope he doesn't let his ego take control, but it seems like it might. And then as for Kawhi, if he loses in Toronto, I think the Clippers really are his best bet. But I will say this. Right now the report is he played game 1 with knee tendonitis. That's the word out there amongst the NBA, right? He played with knee tendonitis. So why would you leave Toronto when they can offer you a lot more money than anybody else can, right? They've got the most cap space to work with. They're one of the top 5 teams with cap space to work with. Why leave Toronto? Really?
Hey, Andrew, what
What's
do you
up?
think about, though, isn't the tax situation in Canada still prohibitive to athletes?
That's true. Yeah, there's the whole tax situation in Canada too. You have to. Look, that's certainly a thing you have to consider. It's a big opportunity that he's got to think about. That's a really good point, Eric. Yeah,
Yeah, so if you have to decide between taking a contract, Toronto may be able to offer more, but is that going to be negated by the tax difference that he'd have to pay as a non-Canadian citizen?
No, that's a really good point. Yeah. I mean, and these are the things he's going to have to take into account, right? I get he's from California, right? LA seems more attractive, right? It's the number 2 market in the country. Why would he not want to be there, right? The tax situation, like Eric said, in Canada, got to take that into consideration. That's a big chunk of the big-time contract that you're gonna take on with Toronto. It's gonna be going. You know, it's a different type of world in there. It's not like San Antonio where you didn't have taxes. You don't have to worry about that state tax. But I really do think that if they win, I think he stays in Toronto. If they lose, I think he still considers it. Even with the tax situation, think about that. Kawhi is a quiet guy. He's not nightlife. He's not Showtime. He's not Magic Johnson, LeBron James. He's not any of that. He's quiet Kawhi. He doesn't say a lot, doesn't like to talk to the media really. San Antonio was really the perfect place for him. No state tax, quiet. Nobody says anything to you. Stays there, says nothing. Toronto's the same way. It's up in Canada, away from the U.S., away from a lot of that media. It's quiet. It's easy. Good place to hide. It's kind of his game. It's kind of how he works as an athlete. He's not big and boastful. He can have those moments, but he likes to be more of a silent killer. And I honestly think that if Kawhi, off his personality, if I were to say, I'd say he'd probably want to stay in Toronto. But I also understand why you'd want to go to the Clippers too. I get it. But remember this too, for everybody out there. The East right now, it's a little weak. It's not a lot of competition. West has everybody, right? Especially if you get Kawhi. If Kawhi goes to the Clippers, West has everybody. Stay in the East. You're the king, right? And even if Durant goes to the Knicks, let's be honest. Knicks barely, 500? Maybe at best. Maybe they get into the playoffs. But they're like an 8th, 7th seed, right? Even with Kyrie Irving. And that's who's that even to say that those guys stay healthy, right? Now the injury issues are coming up. Who knows? We'll pour more into free agency as it goes on. But for this game 1, Toronto, Golden State, there's a lot riding on this, right? It's not just the NBA Finals. It's not just another championship. It's a chance to say, how are you going to define your franchise? We'll have to figure that out as the games go along. We'll fill you guys in as it keeps going. All right, moving away from there. If you haven't heard, some big news came out from the state of Texas as well. Nothing with Kawhi, though. But this one has to do with James Harden's team, the Houston Rockets. And Houston, we may have a problem. The Houston Rockets, if you guys haven't heard, they've been having some difficulty, it seems, with communication in terms of what the next step is for this franchise. The first thing that was reported came from front office management, I believe it was. It was sort of leaked, and apparently the word is that the entire Houston Rockets roster is available for talks with trade. That includes Chris Paul and Clint Capella. Right? James Harden obviously on a bit of a contract, but I would assume he's probably even thrown into there, but more of a lesser degree, right? Like if everybody had a percentage, he would probably be the 0.0001% of trading him, right? He is the franchise basically of that team at this point. He's your MVP, obviously. But Clint Capella, Chris Paul, you're talking about his teammates, guys he's had for a while now, the chemistry they've built, all that stuff. You're going to trade them? What? The Rockets are going to break up one of the best teams they've had in a long time? Are you kidding me? Well, honestly, I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. How can I? I look at the roster. I mean, Chris Paul's going to be 34. PJ Tucker's going to be 34. I don't want age to be the thing, but let's be honest. Chris Paul has not looked like himself from the days when he got traded to the Clippers, right? He's older now. He's slowing down a bit. He's not playing at the elite level. It's getting harder to be that guy that can run up and down the court. He's not getting used as the on-ball point guard as much as we all thought he was going to be, right? Everybody assumed he's going to be the guy bringing up the ball. He's going to pass it out to James. James is going to kick out a three. Boom, we go back down the court. It doesn't happen a lot, though. James Harden dominates the ball a lot, right? And then in the playoffs, they had Eric Gordon bringing the ball up, and I thought, well, why aren't you using Chris Paul? Why would you not let Chris Paul be the guy to decide who to pass to? Why would you give it to Eric Gordon, who's a shoot first, right? Who's a guy that sits at the corner? Why would you let him bring up the ball? I mean, it's one of those things where I think for Chris Paul, I'm not trying to bash the man. I think he's certainly one of the top 5 point guards in NBA history. I give that guy a lot of credit. He has fought through the gauntlet, right? He made the New Orleans, when they were the Hornets, a thing, right? He made them a favorable team at one point that could potentially be playoff championship contenders. And then he's like, you know what? I don't want to be in New Orleans. I want to go to L.A. Well, the whole L.A. thing breaks down. So then he says, okay, I'll go to the other team in L.A., the Clippers. And he goes there with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, and he's got a bunch of other guys that keep coming around him, and they keep going to the playoffs, and they can't win. Now he goes to Houston, and they're going to the playoffs, but they're not getting the championship that he wanted. Everybody thinks it's outrageous to say Chris Paul should be traded. But at some point, every athlete has to go through this. I truly believe that. Even LeBron James has to at some point probably go through the fact that he's probably going to get traded. If this guy is really, truly, honest to God, hoping to play till his son is in the league, guess what? You're probably going to get traded at some point in that time, because I can't believe that at 40, whatever he would be, right? He's 34 now, and his son is he's not even eligible to get recruited until 2023, right? He's not a senior till then. So, I mean, it's one of those things where for LeBron's sake, I mean, at some point, yeah, if he doesn't retire, he's getting traded away probably. But for people to say, oh, that's ludicrous, how could you say trade LeBron James? Every player is expendable to some degree. I don't care how good of a superstar you are, right? It's going to happen. It's going to happen if you stick around long enough at least. Chris Paul is 34. He's aged a lot. His age is showing. He's slowing down. He's not the same player. So if you're Houston and you can get a younger point guard, right, maybe you can sucker a team into giving you some draft picks or giving you a pretty decent player or some pretty decent bench guys, yeah, do it. I mean, you're having James Harden bring up the ball almost 50% of the time anyways. Why not just move away from Chris Paul? Seriously, I mean, I get it. He's a veteran leader. He's a superstar. He brings in a lot of names and tickets and yeah, but did you really need him? I mean, is he really a necessary thing that you want to carry on the team? I mean, his contract is huge. It's huge. By the time his contract is up, the last year, I believe he's making somewhere around like the $45 million, something. It's outrageous how much money he's making. And he's not even putting up 23, 24 points a game. He's averaging somewhere around like 18, 19 points a game. It's not like all-star impressive, really. So outside of that, I mean, Houston, look, there's a lot of other pieces here that can be traded. Obviously, Chris Paul is like the biggest thing that everybody's been concentrating on because it's like, oh, how can you trade him? Well, if you need to, if somebody's willing to take on that contract, they should be able to do it. Make the move. If you think it's going to make you better, you make the move. And I think if you get the right guys for him, or if you get the draft picks for him, it can be the right move. I mean, I look at a guy like Clint Capella. Clint Capella is a really good defender against the rim. He's a guy that's a lot like Dwight Howard. He's going to give you that 17 and 10, right? Points, rebounds, and he's going to give you like 2.5 block shots or something like that a game. He's really good at being around the rim and protecting the post. But Clint Capella's game with Houston and the way the NBA is now, it doesn't work. He doesn't have an outside shot. He doesn't have a jump shot, really. He's a back-to-the-basket kind of guy. He plays with more of that style. It's tough to sell me on a guy that, look, I'd love to have the guy. To be honest, I take him over Wendell Carter Jr., and I say that to make a lot of the people in Chicago mad because everybody's convinced Wendell Carter Jr. is going to be the next great center. But I would honestly say I give it to Clint Capella. But then you got Mike D'Antonio, who says contract talks, they cut them off. He doesn't want to talk anymore. So I think Houston's going to be in a big problem in a big way. I think Houston's going to find themselves in a major issue soon because everything's coming out in public, right? Oh, D'Antoni doesn't want to talk about a contract anymore. No more contract talk. Trade everybody in the organization that's not James Harden, right? All this stuff is coming out public. All this stuff is happening right now after they have lost an opportunity for them to go and win a title. Everybody thought this was going to be some of their best times, and now everybody's starting to shrink in their skill sets, right? The only one that's not really is James Harden, but everybody else has kind of either hit that point of capping at their level or they're regressing. And so Houston now has to go back into its little huddle and say, what's next? But I think because of everything that's coming out now and potentially what will come out in the future, because I don't think this is done yet, Houston could really find itself with a very big problem. Everything they've built could fall apart in an instant. And it's all because, for whatever reason, nobody can seem to keep their mouths quiet. They can't do this stuff behind the back doors. Instead, everything's going out to everyone. So now it's going to be a scramble. Now Houston's going to be having a fire sale, right? It's the Houston fire sale. Give us your best offer, and we'll give you all the players. This may be motivation, some people have said, to kick the players into gear, but I don't know about that. I find it a lot harder to believe that. It might be, but the way that Houston's been looking over the last couple of years, getting into the playoffs and then just missing out every single time. For whatever mistake it is, they just continue to be able to miss an opportunity to get to the finals. I don't know if there's a solution to it, but I don't think this is it. I don't know if D'Antoni is going to be the coach there anymore. I really think he might leave. I think he really might leave. And I think Houston does maybe send away like Clint Capella. I think they get rid of a few of the guys like P.J. Tucker, a few other guys. They try to bring in fresher new talent, try and bring in younger guys, try to outshoot the world. And you know what's going to happen? They're probably going to go 500. They're going to start losing. And then Chris Paul is going to either retire or he's going to leave or whatever. And then Houston's going to find itself back at square one with James Harden, and that's it. Hopefully Houston can solve its problems soon because the window for a championship for them has been closing for a while now. And guess what? There's a sliver of light shining through right now. They can open the window back up, but it's going to be very hard to do it right now. It's almost shut. We'll see what happens with the Houston Rockets. All right, well, coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pour into the life and times of Bronny James and Zaire Wade. We'll talk about what's going on with them. Plus, I got a personal thing I'm going to be sharing out, too, to all you guys. So I hope you're ready for this one because it may get a little emotional up in here. But I hope you guys are ready for that. All and more here on the X-Bomb Sports live show. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Why? I'll just put a quarter in the swear jar. Once it's filled, we get a Coors party after work.
I've been drinking Coors since my college days. The cold draft taste is second to none.
Yeah, worth every quarter, am I right?
You know it, mother.
Hey, you get those reports done?
Yeah. No. You, sir.
Attention, employees.
The staff meeting, scheduled for this evening, will now be held tomorrow early as
Who's all? Dudes, we're only 75 cents short. Up. Shh. Mr. Boss.
Hey, sir, go yourself.
You're fired!
Man, I'm so hungry. I need somewhere to eat fast. I have no idea where to go.
Psst. Hola, me llamo El Taco de Taco. You know where to go for the amazing taste that'll have you craving more? Taco Bell.
Can I get 20 tacos, please?
you got it.
Thanks, Taco.
De nada.
Good. That's it. Eat the tacos.
Taco Bell. Live más.
Welcome back here, everybody, to the Xbox Sports Live Show. And as you can see, things are really blowing up here. That was really good. I actually like that one. That was pretty awesome. I am still here, ladies and gentlemen, Sir Andrew Valentin, being your host. Eric Willowhite, still in the producing booth. Eric, how you doing back there, man?
Well, aside from that screw up, doing just fine, Andrew.
Hey, man, you're doing great for what? It's been a very hot minute since you've been back there, man. So
Back here, that is true. That is true. So dusting off some of the skills here, and yeah, there you have it.
absolutely, man. Well, you're doing fantastic, man. Keep up the great work, and you guys keep up the great work as well. Watching us, ladies and gentlemen, means a lot to us. We really appreciate it. Obviously, if you missed the first half of this show, we were talking about the NBA Finals, Game 1, breaking it down for you, ladies and gentlemen. We're also breaking down what Houston may be having in terms of the problems of the Rockets, what could be going down with them. And now we're going to be turning it over to some high school basketball talk. Yeah, that's right. High school basketball. We haven't talked about that ever, really, except for I think we talked a little bit about recruiting back in the day. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen. High school basketball's new big name in basketball. Bronny James. LeBron James' son. And Zaire Wade. Dwayne Wade's son. They are officially transferring and going to Sierra Canyon High School in California. Now, you're probably wondering, well, who cares, right? Who cares if Zaire Wade and Bronny James are going to go play at the same high school? Well, here's the thing, folks. It's interesting because it's Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. It's the two guys that teamed up in Miami, and now you're going to have their sons team up on the same high school. Now, granted, Zaire Wade's a senior. Bronny is a freshman, right? There's a big age difference between the two of them. But it's still interesting. And at Sierra Canyon High School, for those that don't know, it's kind of a popular place for teams that are looking to kind of throw their kids to the wind, right? On top of Bronny James and Zaire Wade, players of NBA players, there's also been Scottie Pippen Jr. Guess whose son he is? I'll give you a hint. It's Scottie Pippen. And KJ Martin, who is actively one of the top recruits in his class, who is former number 1 overall pick Kenyon Martin's son. They all went to Sierra Canyon High School. Now, Sierra Canyon has a rich history of basketball and sports. They've done a great job being able to get the names out for kids. And for Bronny and Zaire Wade, you wouldn't think that'd be a problem, right? But here they are going to Sierra Canyon together. And it's a big deal for high school basketball. It's a big deal for me because this just emphasizes something I've been seeing a lot in high school basketball and really high school sports in general. Now, I've only been on this earth for 26 years. I haven't been on this earth as long as some others, right? But I can tell you, in the time that I started playing high school sports back in 2008, kind of not too long ago, but a good 11 years ago, when I started playing, I was not hearing a lot about high school kids transferring to other schools. Okay? I really wasn't hearing too much about that. And now we're at this point where we're hearing a lot about high school kids going from one school to the next. Give you a good example. If anybody's watched Last Chance U on Netflix, I highly recommend go watch it. It's a great documentary. Their third season, they did a new college that wasn't East Mississippi. It was called Independence Community College in Kansas. They have a former top recruited quarterback there by the name of Malik Henry, who personally myself, I will say, did not like the kid, thought he was really arrogant, really put his nose up. Guy said, hey, I don't belong here, all that stuff. But that doesn't matter. They kind of got into his history. They talked a little bit about, well, how did he get here, right? And I looked it up, too. I did my research on this kid. So this kid started at Westlake High School. He started at one high school. This was the high school he was supposed to go to. From there, he transferred to IMG Academy. IMG Academy, for those of you that don't know, is one of these schools that says it's a school, but let's be real, it's here on this earth to develop athletes. And then from there at IMG Academy, he transfers to Long Beach Poly in California. So this kid has three high schools underneath him in his 4 years, ends up being a top recruit, goes to Florida State, and obviously doesn't like it at Florida State and leaves and now wants out and now is at Independent CC, although I think he's been signed at this point now. But even still, it's incredible to think that a kid could go through three high schools in 4 years because, look, I wasn't a top athlete, okay? I rode the bench my whole career, played JV ball, that was it. Football was my thing. If I would have known I was a top recruit, maybe I would have done the same thing, gone to a better school, right? I mean, we've got schools here. Who knows? Maybe I would have convinced my parents, Mom, Dad, I want to go to Mount Carmel, right? I want to go to one of the top high schools in the country, right? Or one of the top high schools in Illinois. Who knows? I'm a Lombard North graduate. Maybe if I was conceited enough, I would have gone to Wheaton Warrenville South, which was our big rival. And we had all these kids that played college ball, and a few went to the NFL, right? Corey Davis went there. Who knows? I don't know. Not saying I would have, but if I was a top recruit, who knows where my headspace would be at? Although it seems like this kid and, of course, the parent, his father, seemed really involved in the situation of him being a quarterback and where he was going to go to have the best career in high school. Okay, it kind of makes sense, right? And you're a high school kid. How can you argue with your father, right? The father always seems to know what's best. It's not always the case, but you know what? In this case, he probably thought, well, you know what? My dad wants the best for me, and I just want to play for the best, so yeah. But this is just one of those things where I think about it, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. And look, I know this isn't a normal thing, but it just speaks to sort of the place we're at right now with high school sports, right? We no longer can view high school sports in the same fashion because now you've got kids who go to 4 high schools in 4 years because they're trying to get the best exposure possible and play with the best team. Simeon Academy in Chicago. It's one of the best schools you can go to if you want to be a basketball player, right? Or Whitney Young or Morgan Park. And more over the last couple years, I'll say probably 10 years or so, we've seen more athletes transferring from schools in the suburbs to some of these schools in the cities because they're the better programs, right? Bennett Academy is no longer a powerhouse like it used to when J.R. Smith was there. Right? We don't. Stevenson's good, but it's the schools in the city that have the reputation. It's the schools in the city that kids want to go play at because they're playing the best of the best, because they're playing with the best of the best, because that's where the exposure's at. I mean, you will always find talent everywhere, but for a high school kid that's highly recruited, that's potentially going to have an NBA career or an NFL career or whatever, I get it. But at the same time, I like watching high school sports. And I would just like to think that, like when I played high school, I'm going to brag here a little bit, but I was able to go to the playoffs for 4 years, right? I wasn't with the varsity team.
Okay,
but
Al Bundy.
Hey, I scored 4 touchdowns in the game for Polk High School, okay?
Glory days.
Exactly. But look, but my team went to the playoffs for 4 years. On the varsity team, I did it back-to-back years, and my junior year was by far the best year we had to go to a championship, right? We lost in the semifinals against Marist. But it is what it is. I don't want to go back on that. But it is what it is, right? But I think about that, and I think about all the kids that were on my team at that point, and we were a really good team. And we did it with all guys that, for the most part, grew up in the Carroll Stream area, grew up in this in the area that we were kind of at, right, around the high school. That's the majority of what our team was. I think we had maybe one guy who was a kid who transferred there, and I don't even know if he stayed on the team. But this is what I wanted to get at with these guys, right? They go to Sierra High School. Everybody's assuming they're going to play together. Look, Bronny James, to kind of give a little future prediction for these guys real quick. For Bronny James, he's good. He's really good. I don't know if he's as good as his dad. That's hard to do, right? But that's the comparison everybody's going to make. How good are you compared to your father? Your father is a first ballot unanimous Hall of Famer. He's arguably by some the greatest player that ever played the game. I'd say at least he's the greatest small forward I've ever seen play the game. He's certainly the greatest player in the 2010 era. But, I mean, this kid's good. I think he handles the ball better than his dad did in high school. I think he's got a better three-point shot than his dad did in high school. But he's also still just a freshman. I think he's about 6'1", 6'2", or so. He's talented. He's extremely talented. But again, Bronny James is not going to be eligible for recruiting until 2023, excuse me. So the hype's there for this kid. Certainly the hype's there. But it's hard to tell right off the bat. But I will say, I think he's good. I think he's extremely good. And as for Zaire Wade, I see a lot of his dad in him. Drives the ball to the basket like a tank. Has that skill set to be able to put the ball in at all costs. Fearless warrior type of kid. Really, really good. Really, really good finisher. And also, too, sorry, Dad, he's got the better three-point shot. Okay. D-Wade's got the better three-point shot, all right? Hey, look, I love you, man. And you're one of the best that ever played here in the city of Chicago. But your kid looks a lot better than you did. Hopefully, these kids can live up to the hype. And it's going to be hard, though, because you got 2 future first ballot Hall of Fame fathers that you're going to be compared to throughout your life, right? It's not like where Steph Curry is coming in and everybody's like, well, Dell was good, but Steph is obviously better, right? That's not the case here, right? It's one of those things where you're going to have to try to live up to the hype. And look, whether they do or don't, that's hard to say, right? Michael Jordan's kid was good, but he wasn't great, right? He was just okay, and he never really made it in the NBA. So sometimes being the Hall of Fame, the son of a Hall of Famer, especially the greatest of all time, it's a little hard to compete with. It's a little hard to do. But for Zaire, I mean, Look, he doesn't have his dad's size, right? 6'2", 275. But he's got a lot to be desired. But there's a lot there that can really work with him. He's in the 2020 recruiting class. As of this point, I mean, he's got 4 offers. Not 4 offers, but he's got about 4 teams right now looking at him. And just a little love here for Chicago. DePaul is right now considered to be one of his favorite schools. How about that? Zaire Wade goes to DePaul University. Something his dad said he wish he kind of did, although I think he probably made the right choice going to Marquette. It's pretty obvious, but hey, Zaire Wade comes to DePaul. Kid's got talent. Kid's got show. Kid could certainly turn out to be a top recruit. And believe it or not, DePaul's made the offer. Nebraska's also made an offer too. Miami and Michigan State are the other 2 schools that are kind of waiting to see how this season turns out. But guess what? Kid's special. Kid's got talent. But there's still a lot of basketball to be played for these guys.
If Wade goes to DePaul, they wouldn't win just one NBA championship, not just 2 NBA championships, not just 3. You know the drill.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey, you know what? Hey, and let's say he does go to DePaul. Maybe Bronny James decides to follow his friend, right? I know Bronny James is a young kid, right? But, I mean, look, they've been playing together. The whole thing about them is they played basketball against each other since they were kids. They've been playing in, the driveway and all that stuff, in the courts and stuff together a lot. Even though Zaire is older than Bronny, they've still been playing ball together. There's a lot there for them. And not only that, but you've seen the connection between their fathers. Who knows? Bronny James, Zaire Wade to DePaul. Sounds far-fetched, right? But don't count it out until it actually happens, ladies and gentlemen. But we'll be following up on them more and more as we see the season go along. Hopefully we'll hear maybe some early verbal commitments from Zaire Wade. And who knows, maybe Bronny James. And the other thing is, too, you got to consider, we talked about this on Wednesday, R.J. Hampton made the jump over college to go to the pros and play with the New Zealand Breakers in the PBL, which is located primarily in Australia. But Bronny James, Zaire Wade could possibly do the same. It's food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. It's food for thought. All right. So moving away from that, I want to kind of drop a little bit something personal for you guys. In a little segment I want to hit with, we're going to call Let's Get Real, right? LGR. We'll give it the short term on that, LGR. This is a little message I wanted to send because about a couple years ago, not too many people know about this. About 3 years ago, I started a blog. AJ Valentin Spin Out Sports. You probably see me wear the glasses. You see me wear the shirt that Tom always says looks like Donald Trump's head. Okay, I'm not going to get into that, but, it is what it is. But I was doing this blog, and somebody had recognized it, and they had asked me if I would be willing to come out to one of their camps up north in Chicago to kind of talk to some of these kids that were 14 years old. And I was very happy to do so because I thought, oh, cool, awesome. I told them, I talked to them a little bit. I told them about my story a little bit, and they were very intrigued by that, and they wanted to kind of hear what I had to say for the kids. And I told them that, and they wanted me to give the whole spiel of, go to college, this is how you be successful, all that stuff, These are 14-year-old kids, remember, high school kids, high school freshmen. And I sat down with them, or I didn't really sit, but I stood while they kind of took a knee and sat down and stuff and kind of talked to them. And I told them the whole stuff, look, if you want to be successful, obviously all of you want to go pro, but here's the deal. Some of you guys won't always go pro, so college is the next best thing, right? I gave them that whole run. Now, at the time I was 23 years old, I was still at College of DuPage, but I had finally kind of figured out what I wanted to do with my life. I was finally starting to get that thing going. So success was starting to come my way. I mean, I won't say I'm like a top blogger getting paid. I wasn't, right? But I was getting a lot of views. I was starting to gravitate. I had one of my blog posts got put up by a Bulls website because I was checking off how the Bulls were going to do first season, and I kind of gave a breakdown of the team. All that. It was great stuff. And I kind of told these kids, I said, and after I gave them the whole college speech, I said, look, the other thing that could also happen is that you go a little bit more unconventional route. And I kind of give my life story. So quick life story for you guys. My whole life, I always thought I wanted to be one thing, and that was like a paleontologist. I was a dinosaur kid, wanted to do dinosaurs, all that stuff. About high school is when sort of the generic stuff, and I think everybody's kind of known this, right? You hear guys say, I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, this or that and the other, you know. And all of a sudden I thought, oh, so that's what I got to do. I got to be one of those things, right? Instead of being what I wanted to be as a kid all this time, I have to be one of these other things that everybody else wants to be, right? Because this is the norm. I got to be normal. I got to be like them. So I did that. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, though, when I graduated high school. Thought I wanted to be an English writer. Went to my college. Got a football scholarship to go there. I went for all the wrong reasons for that. Learned very quickly that I am not a very religious man because of that. It just didn't work out. Kind of got, didn't work with me in the school. So I transferred from there to go to college at DuPage. And I had some stumbles along the way, but then I eventually got myself back to where I needed to be. Now, at 23, I was still in school. I was still trying to figure things out, but I knew I had a place where I wanted to be at. I had a vision of where I wanted to be at and how I was going to get there. So I knew that there was still more work to be done, but I was getting it done. I was starting to make big progress. And I told the kids this story. And I said, some of you may not go that conventional route. Many of us did not. And I got an email back all these years ago that I just recently kind of found. And I read it. And it was from a woman whose kid was at the camp. And she had emailed me because I had kind of given out my card a little bit and at that time that I had, and just kind of thrown it around to just let people know my name. So she emailed my blogger email and basically gave me this essay-like thing, right, email, saying how she was upset about the fact that I was basically telling her, from her perspective, I was telling her kid not to go to college. That was her perceived idea of what I was saying. And she said that she didn't like the fact that I used my life story to try and convince her child not to do that, and I should take a different route. You know, I should have just stuck to a conventional meanings. She had a lot to say. I mean, I could go through it, but it's not worth it. And the thing that really upset me was that it made me question a lot of the choices I made in life. And I never wanted to do that. I've done that many times, but I've always tried to tell myself, never do that. But I was reading this thing, and I was thinking back on, man, a lot of the choices I made. And then I quickly snapped myself out of it because I was like, no, you know what? Forget what she has to say. Because that was 3 years ago. And what does she know? Right? Look, maybe I was in the wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have said it the way I should have said, right? Parents should be able to say what they need to say, right? But I also feel like, hey, an outside perspective can sometimes help a kid to kind of figure out what exactly they need to do. I mean, look, I'm hoping that kid is maybe in college. I'm hoping that kid is maybe getting things to go the right way. I hope that's the case, right? But I do feel like, I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't have let that really get to me the way that I did. My life is my life, and I've made the decisions that I've made, and honestly, it's okay. Because it was 3 years ago. Because I can tell you right now, after the next 3 years were great. Because guess what? In those next 3 years, I graduated with an associate's degree from Illinois or from COD. I took a year off to work and make my next decision. And then my father came at me with a piece of paper that said Illinois Media School, kind of glossed over it. But then I sent in my information, got a call from a wonderful lady by the name of Kelly who used to work here. She brought me in. She toured the place with me. And then the owner of this place by the name of Imram, he came and got me. He showed me around a little bit more. And I fell in love with this place. And then in my core class, I will just say it, brag out loud, ego, I killed it. I got every reward. I stood up and did a speech for my class. I killed it. And then after that, I had a buddy of mine by the name of Tom bugging me the whole time. You guys know who he is. Came at me and said, sports emphasis, let's do it. And you know what? I did it. I can't say I killed it because, honestly, there were some people in there that just, they rocked it a lot better than I did. Right? But one of them is right here. Eric Willowite right here, man. He's one of the greatest guys. I'm glad I did sports emphasis. Otherwise, never would have met this man. Or Art Carone. Or Chris Seha. Or Jamie Rubinos. Or Andy Hensel. I wouldn't have met those guys. I wouldn't have got to know my teachers. My amazing teachers that are in broadcasting. I would have never had the experiences I had. And now I have that piece of paper. I talked at graduation, told Art to shut up. It's great. 3 years more, and I'm in a more successful area. Not only that, but even though the blog has stopped, although it is coming back at some point, I promise. September 30th, 2017, I stepped into Studio One, the studio opposite of this. Pressed stream, started a show, and it was the first episode of the X-Bomb Sports Live show. And we've been going strong ever since. We're in season 3 now. I think we're almost like 70 episodes into this show. There are some shows that haven't even gone that long. Great show Firefly, it's only like 13 episodes, I think, or 24 episodes. We've been on longer.
Great show, though.
Great show. No, yeah, great show. But we're a great show, too.
But it's not X-Bomb. That's
no, no, it's not. Exactly. But that's the thing is, like, I think about it, and obviously it's like, who cares, right? It was 3 years ago. And obviously, this is not related to sports, but this is something that being here, having the opportunity myself to kind of sit up here and talk and tell you guys, I wanted to kind of send a message because even though this is a platform where we mostly talk about sports, I do want it to be a platform where I can maybe send the message out to possibly help somebody. Because maybe there is a kid that watches this show. I don't know. I know there's one guy out there by the name there's one guy out there by the name of Brandon who's kind of been watching the show for a while now. And he emailed me once and he said him and his son's about 5 or 6 years old, they like to watch the show. I thought, wow, that's awesome. That's so awesome that he gets to share this opportunity with his son. And look, I don't want to instruct that kid, or any kid really, to say, hey, don't go to college, right? But here's the thing. You have to do things the way you feel the best, right? If you feel that a 4-year university is the best thing for you, good, go for it. You should. Get the great education. I thought that was for me too. I thought that was the route I was supposed to take. Obviously, I didn't, right? 1 year at that 4-year university, 4 years at a community college, not afraid to say it, and 2 years at an amazing trade school that has taught me at a great amount. And I think I've learned more here than I ever did probably in my time in high school. Probably than I ever did at COD. This is the great opportunity that everybody wants. It's what you get out of it. It's what you make of it. It's how you handle the situation that comes up. That's the important thing about it. My whole thought in my life, in my theory in life, and people might disagree with me on this, but this is just how I see it. I think everybody out there has regrets, right? We all have regrets. We all have things that we kind of regret. People that say they don't have regrets, I say, no. You probably have regrets. But here's the thing. You can regret doing something or not doing something, right? But then you can ultimately go with that and say, okay, but what did I learn from that, right? What did I learn from that? Like, I honestly regret just going to my university, Trinity International University in Deerfield. I regret going to that school primarily because I had a football scholarship. Because I did not think that thing all the way through. I did not think about the work it means to have as a college athlete. I didn't think about all that. And so because of that, I paid the price. I paid the price, and I regret that. I wish I would have gone to College of DuPage. But you know what? I said, okay, I regret going to TIU. So what did I learn from that? I learned then that I have to think through any opportunity that comes at me, really look into it, and make sure this is the thing that I want to do. This is what's going to make me happy, and this is something that I know I can do, I can accomplish, or at least I can try to make it work. But it's not going to be something where I go there or I get into it and then I'm suffering. And then I'm feeling like just, why? Why did I do this? Right? It's one of those things where it's like you go to Taco Bell, you eat way too many tacos, you eat way too many burritos, and go, why did I do this to myself? Right? You regret that. What did you learn? Don't eat too many tacos. It's a silly thing, but you think about it. Everybody regrets stuff. But it's what you learned off the regret. I don't regret telling those kids my life story. I don't regret telling those kids that everybody has a different walk in life. Your journey is all different. High school, I looked at everybody and thought, everybody's driving on the left lane. Everybody's going the same way. I got to go the same way. But then all of a sudden, here comes this curve in the road. And I said, hey, look at that. There's a curve in the road. Now I want to go that way. Right? Because that's a little detour, but I'm like, you know what? I got time. Look, we all want to get to that point as fast as possible, right? Do I like my job? No, I don't like my job. Am I going to get out of it? Eventually. I'm not going to stop till I do. But it's all about the road that you take. We all take a different road. We all go a different way in life. So for this woman to say that me telling her son not go to college, that's not what I did. Ma'am, if you're listening to me, or if your son isn't even listening to me, I apologize, whoever you are. But I do want to say that I want you to be able to take whatever it is in life that you have, that you love, and go with it. Make it what you can. Live life to the fullest. We all get there at some point in time. Some of us just take longer. I see kids now, I see it on social media. A lot of guys I know from high school, a lot of guys I know from college. Great, big, successful lives, got great jobs, all that stuff. Okay, good. That's good. You don't get to do this, though. I get 3 cameras to stare at me all by myself while I talk on the mic about sports. And now I talk about this. It's the greatest moment I could ever ask for. It's a great moment. I hope that anybody out there hearing this, no matter who you are, doesn't matter if you're a child in elementary school, doesn't matter if you're a teenager in high school, doesn't matter if you're a college student, doesn't even matter if you're an adult. Follow the path that you want. Don't let other people try to dictate it. Don't let people try to tell you that you can't. I mean, look, this is stuff we've all probably heard, right? You've probably heard it from your parents. I know I've heard it from my parents, but guess what? Sometimes you need to hear it from somebody different. Sometimes an outside voice can be one of the most powerful things we've ever heard. Why? Because it's coming from somebody that we don't really know. And you think, well, why should I take their opinion for it? Well, if they took the time to be able to try and tell you something, guess what? That means that even that random person that was telling it to a crowd of like 300, he cared enough to at least say something. Might sound like coherent rambling to a lot of you out there. I know it's not having to do with sports. I apologize. But look, even as an athlete has to make the decision, right? R.J. Hampton made the decision, right? He said, well, what do I want to do? I don't want to go play college ball. I want to go play pro ball. He's going to go play pro ball. As a high school student, you have to make that decision too. As an athlete, you have to make the decision. Do I want to go play college? Do I want to go play pro? What's the next step? If I get drafted by baseball, do I sign the baseball contract? Do I go to college? You have to make those decisions. They'll come at you every time.
Yeah, but to your point, Andrew, not everyone is a college athlete. Not everyone has those skills.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of people have to make decisions of what they're going to do for employment the rest of their life and what it is that they're going to do for an occupation. and what they're going to do to enjoy what they do too. And
Exactly.
sometimes those things don't always meet, and sometimes you figure that out later. You know, so it's exactly true what you said, which is, you know, follow the path that you want to follow.
Exactly.
And you may learn that that path didn't work out. There's always more paths to follow. You're never pigeonholed into anything that you have to be in because you have a choice.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Willowhite. I mean, he couldn't have said it any better. I mean, and that is the case. I mean, you know, and trust me, you know, this is a man that has, you know, he's been in the world a lot longer than I have. You know, he's experienced life a lot more than I have. You know, and look, we're all gonna have our ups and downs. We're all gonna have our ups and downs. We're all gonna go through it. We've all had them. Some of us may see it more dramatic. Some people may not. You know, it's just, it is what it is. But you just have to go the way that you feel. You want to go down the same road that everybody else does? That's fine. You want to go off on the detour like I did? Great. You know? Biggest thing is just make sure the detour doesn't lead towards, you know, the Wile E. Coyote Grand Canyon that you're falling into. But you know what? Sometimes that will happen. I've had it happen many times. I went to COD thinking this is going to be a whole new adventure. Ended up almost being the exact same thing I went through when I first went to my university. But I climbed out of the hole, got back on my track, and found this amazing road called the Illinois Media School, and I followed that all the way to what's next, I don't know. But I'll tell you this, there's a couple opportunities right now sitting out there. There's opportune moments now for myself and many others that we're going to be trying to take. So I may have multiple roads I'm able to go down to. And that's the first time I can actually ever say that when I'm not a child. I still have a lot of life left to live, but that doesn't mean I don't have wisdom. So I hope for somebody out there, you can listen to this and you have not learned something, but you can take something away from this. I hope it's not sounding like coherent rambling to anybody, but I mean, you know, I understand. It's a sports show. It's not really what you want to hear. But having this platform does not always mean we have to talk about sports. I've always felt that this has always needed to be a platform that, whether it is sports or anything else, as long as we talk about it and we just stay faithful to it and we stay strong to it, no problem. So diverging off the sports a little bit, hey, what's wrong with that? I hope to everybody out there, you follow your path, follow that dream, live life to the best, live life to the fullest. Party on, dudes. I don't know what else to say. Just enjoy the life you have, find your way, and go forth. You're never too old to try something new. You're never too old to try to do something different. There's so many great examples of it. Follow your dream. Simple as that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end this one here. So I hope you all having...
Now, before we get out of here, I think we've set a record on X-Bomb Sports.
Have we really?
Yeah, because I had a graphic ready for this show, and I never had to use it, so I'm going to have to put it up.
Really? And what is that graphic?
The phenomenal counter says 0. There were 0 phenomenals during today's X-Bomb. I had this graphic ready for every phenomenal you threw out there. I was going to keep updating it. I didn't get to update it once, so I had to use the tail end of the show to let you know you've set a record, Andrew.
Wow. I truly didn't even think about that. Unbelievable. That is phenomenal, ladies and gentlemen. That is phenomenal. Now you got to change it. it. Wow. All right. That was pretty good. I like that, Eric. Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our show here. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun, and of course, if you guys are wondering where Kevin, Tom, and Jake and everybody else was, unfortunately, Kevin had some things he had to take care of. Tom is out celebrating his birthday, most definitely, which, by the way, happy birthday to you, Tom. I know you're probably not watching. You're probably out with Sarah having a good time, but if you do see this, man, happy birthday. I hope you know it. Love you, man. Thanks for all the help. Thanks for all the work. And Jake is out. I don't exactly know where Jake's at. I think he's I don't know. I can't really remember. I apologize, Jake, but we miss you, man. But even still, I had Eric Willoway. Eric, thank you so much, man, for helping me. This was a blast, man.
Anytime, my brother.
Thank you so much, dude. And if you got any social media you want to shout out? Anything you want to give out to anybody?
On Twitter at ESWillow72.
Absolutely. Go check out Eric, man, on Twitter. Make sure to go follow him, give him some likes, give him some love out there, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to find us, you can find us on Facebook at XBomb Sports. Just give us a like there. You can see seasons 1 and 2, our early videos from where we started, kind of see how we came from the ground up to this point here. So if you guys want, you can go check those out. Also, too, if you want to check out our Twitter, it's at XBomb Sports. We're always tweeting out new stuff. We're always tweeting out the show and things like that. We're always putting up polls, things. We're getting a lot more involved with the social media on that as well. Also, too, make sure to go follow us on Instagram at XBomb Sports as well. Go find us there. You guys can really enjoy some of the pictures we put up. We put up a few videos here and there. We're going to start adding more stuff to our Instagram, get a bit more involved with it as well. We're gonna try to get more of the social media aspect involved in this show because certainly we know there's a lot of you guys out there that probably have social media, no doubt, and we want to make sure you're a part of this as well. So make sure to go follow us on Twitter and Instagram, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube page at XBomb Productions. This YouTube page right there. There's probably a little YouTube. I think the button's right here. I don't know where it is. Look, I can't see the YouTube page from where I'm at, so I'm just assuming it's somewhere probably around here. But if you hit that button and then hit the bell next to it, or no, I think it's over here. So if you hit the button and you hit the bell next to it, where it's somewhere down there. If you do that, you can get, subscribe to our channel. You can get notifications when we start live streaming this show. We're also going to be putting up more content, putting up points. Guys, if you want to go check them out, they're going to be up here soon, too. Our radio show putting up points. They go every Saturday. Unfortunately, they couldn't do today because Jake and Tyler were out, but they are live on SportsTownChicago.com on the internet radio. You can find them from 11 to 1, again, SportsTownChicago.com, or you can go to their Facebook page, Sportstown Chicago, and see them live and in person. Actually get to see the faces that talk sports. And to also, don't forget, guys, there is also the Respawn Cast. They are streaming on Twitch.tv every Tuesday and every Friday. Kat, Kevin, and Shaq always streaming on Twitch.tv. Make sure to go check them out. The Respawn Cast. They are one word. Go check them out. Kat's still out of the country. I believe she's still in the Philippines. So I don't know what Kevin's going to be streaming next, but if he is going to be in on Tuesday, I assume he's going to probably be giving us a lovely little stream for us to be able to watch. And if you guys want to follow me, you guys can find me on Twitter at @TheFluffyGuru. Follow me on there. I'm always I'm always choking, apparently. I'm always chatting up a storm, or not chatting up a storm, but I'm always looking for stuff to kind of retweet. Sometimes I put out polls and stuff. Sometimes I just say outlandish things. I'm a madman on Twitter. And if you guys want to, check me out on Instagram at @BoomCrewCaptain, where I post up all the pictures and stuff. I post memes, things like that. Again, I'm a madman with social media. And I think that covers everything. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. We will be back next Wednesday talking more about sports, getting more, melting your heart more with our amazing talks around the campfire. And we will see you guys then. So thank you all for watching, and much love, and peace out, Boom Crew.